greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. As always, I'm your host, V. And yes, I know, guys, it seems a little bit sporadic in what episodes we put out. Always putting out something different, whether it's Targeted or Family Case Files, Red Pill Hardcore. But as always, we are going to be still adding other additional shows. We might have to get an additional channel with TLB TV, as we have other genres that are just going to take up entire slots by themselves as we're getting more media directors. You know, such things as Black Panther TV, video gaming network channel, just things like that. So we're expanding. And there should be more opportunities for you guys to see my wonderful smiling face and give the others a chance to present themselves as hosts on the network. So I'm not the only one. So speaking of which, I have to introduce you guys to a new coming attraction. My guest on the show today, Jimmy Roberts. How you doing, Jimmy?
Hey, man, how's it going? We're doing great here.
It's going. Now, for those of you who do not know Jimmy Roberts, and you should know Jimmy Roberts if you are a ufology person like I am, you know, a person who likes the outer space conspiracies and research and stuff like that, you should know Jimmy Roberts. He has a wonderful YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, I came across his YouTube channel and was blown away. I was like, I gotta have this guy on my network. And so, I mean, here he is now. Tell us about yourself, Jimmy.
Hey, first of all, I don't have an accent. I don't want y'all to listen to my accent because it's not there.
Because, you know, you're an honest Texan, by the way.
That's right. East Texan. Hey, they make fun of my accent in Austin. I want you to know I'm an East Texan. A little bit more Southern influence than Southwest here in East Texas. You know something about Texas, so you know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
Majority of my life.
Oh, man, yeah. I'm a Texan, and I'm also an American. That's the way I look at it. But, man, I've been around about 53 years. We were just talking about that. I can remember, man, watching the Apollo rockets, you know, getting ready to blast off. And I can remember the Mars Vikings when they came out on National Geographic, and I had the magazines plastered up on my wall in the 70s. And anyway, I got a lot of stuff behind me in my past that kind of kept me in this direction. But, you know, I happen to know that there's a lot more going on. Well, let's just say, that's putting it lightly. There's a whole lot going on. They're pulling the wool over our eyes, and it's not just NASA. It's all the space agencies. But it's what's really bizarre when you start looking at the images, especially some of these rover images, they have to release them. That's one of the first things I get asked is, why do they release them at all? If there's all this stuff in them, why do they release them at all? Well, they're binded to do this. They've got to release them. But for some reason, they leave a lot of stuff in them. I've not figured out in their masking techniques whether it's on purpose, whether they've just got different people doing it. Some people tell me, well, they just get sloppy at times. But I know there's humans on Mars. I know they're working there. This isn't all UFO stuff. And I think that's something that you and I have in common, is that a lot of times people cry UFO, and it's not a UFO. Well, it's unidentified, but it's not alien. It's not extraterrestrial. It's human. There are aliens. There are extraterrestrials. There are non-human biological entities. They pop in and out. Some of them live right here. But one thing about them is they don't make themselves known to us too often. They are very discreet for whatever reason. They are very discreet. They don't just come out and tell everybody. So a lot of times, I'd say most of the time, what we see are human-operated vehicles. And what's going on Mars, for the most part, it's humans. There's a civilization up there. I'm saying it as fact. But in my videos, we talk about this a lot, why we know this. And I try to present the evidence that you can see for yourself. I can tell you all day long, I know these things, where this has been found in science, how they keep it down. They don't really want us to know. And I can show you where it's evident in pictures galore. Even with, I'm going to say, a good portion of pictures, they cover up about 75% at least of what was there. But they still leave a lot. I know you've seen some of it, and it's really bizarre sometimes that they do this. Sometimes they'll leave a little section cut out where you can see the actual metal or material and a rock. And I say rock a lot because they've really got us bamboozled into thinking that's all there is, and it's not true at all. And all I'm trying to do, my goal, my job, my mission is to bring a little closer to this, to bridge a gap between the total BS that we're being taught, and really it's brainwashing, kind of bring this reality into a tangible thing, because they are going there. These rovers are going there. How they're getting there, that's another issue in itself, secret space program. But it's real, it's touchable, it's tangible. There's an atmosphere there, and there's humans walking around. They're not even wearing oxygen devices. And it's very clear to me. Anyway, I'll shut up for a minute. I could go on and on about it.
Hey, I'm hearing you. We need to know more about you. But I've definitely spoken about the secret space program, the U.S. secret space program. I don't know the official name of it, but we can only imagine. Probably something very plain, generic, secret space command, something, I don't know. But we've reverse engineered, the Roswell crash and any other crashes. I mean, that's what Area 51 is for. We have UFOs that traverse our solar system. Now, you have had some of your own UFO experiences. You kind of brushed over that. I don't know if you want to get into it or not.
No, that's fine. It's no secret with people that know me. Yeah. And I say UFO experience. No, I've seen plenty of them. That, whether they're government or extraterrestrial, maybe I know, maybe I don't. Maybe sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But as for me, from the time when I was a very child, things happened. I saw things, and I didn't put it together till a lot later in life. Something's had contact with me. Something's had contact with my son as well. While I was wide awake, I've had something just pop into the room and give me a horrifying experience when I was a teenager, about 16. Changed everything for me. I actually thought demons had come in my room. I thought that for many years. I was raised a Presbyterian, but that's just what we thought. It was demonic. That's whatever that was. That was the impression they left with me. Something happened with my ear. I knew that something went in my ear that was associated with that. My dad heard the whole incident across the hall. He heard the buzzing and humming that went on. It was horrifying. I mean, I cannot explain to you how terrifying it was. About 8 years later, I had a job. I worked for the government on guided missile sections, and I had discovered there was something in my ear, and I still hadn't put all this together. And at some point, I pulled it out. I remember I was at work. I had to walk away from what I was doing and cut it out. I'd been working with this for a while, and it was a small, I believe it was an implant. I didn't know it at the time, but about the size of a Percocet pill. If you took it and sliced it in half, sliver, not even an eighth of an inch, the thickest part of it, shaped like a football. And I remember looking at it. I thought, man, this is weird looking earwax. And I broke it in half. It was fibrous material. Threw it in the trash. Went back to work. It was many years later when I started putting it all together. Something had messed with me. Something put that in there. Some group, whether demons, ET, humans, whatever. I've seeked out a lot of people to find out what this is, and I still don't really have the answer to that, and it did happen. There was a lot more before that. There was surgery done on me, I'm pretty sure, in a spot where I shouldn't have had surgery. When I was a teenager, I had a medical doctor tell me I had had surgery. And I argued with him. I was in there for another problem down there, and he said, "You've already had surgery. You've got the scars." He was bewildered by it. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I didn't know what it meant to have things standing in my bedroom as a little kid and not even being afraid of them. That happened. None of this was made up in my head. Put it all together when it started happening to my son. Almost the same thing when he was 16 years old, wide awake. You hear about sleep paralysis? A lot of people claim things happen and it's put off as sleep paralysis. It is. You know, I know there's such a thing. But maybe sometimes sleep paralysis can be induced. I don't know. But one thing about myself and my son is wide awake when these things happen to us. And he let me know, his mother and I were already split up, and he let me know the next day. He called me. He says, "Dad, I got to talk." I said, "Something happened." And he explained it to me, and I was like, wow. Now, he remembers, he says something came into his room and basically grabbed him. And he says the most horrifying experience he's ever had. And after that, things started happening to him too. Astral traveling experiences when he would lay down. I know I popped out of my body I don't know how many times, and verified this by seeing what went on in the other room. He's seen many a flying craft that he shouldn't have seen. Triangles, the triangular craft with he says you could see where the parts were put together on the bottom of it, which kind of tells me, maybe you know the answer to that, don't you?
Yeah, it's U.S. government made, or at least some government made, human.
Yeah, flown over his house out there where he was at a couple of times, and other people saw it as well. Nobody got a picture. This is a few years back. I mean, everybody didn't have just cell phones in their hand all the time. But he saw it a couple of times and described it to me. Said there was a bulge on the bottom of it, and there were, you could see where it was basically fabricated. It looked like the pieces were put together on it. And saw a lot of things at night in the woods, blue balls down. His friends would see these things too, only when they were with him. We have O negative blood. I know that. And our lineage just goes, I know mine, all the way back to the UK. That region, nothing else in it. So it may have something to do with that. It may not, but somebody has wanted our blood and our blood products for some reason. I do know that. I can't tell you for a fact who, but there's a lot that's happened. And with all that going on, somehow, some way, I found my way to the Mars images. It's kind of related, kind of isn't. I guess with who I am, even my blood type, I've always been not open to, but felt like I needed to look at things differently, that I never have taken things at face value. Because I'm taught something, the government says this, the school says this, 1 + 1 = 2. Yes, I do know that. It's pretty much true no matter where you go. unless you're adding in binary, you know, so you understand what I'm saying, then
exactly,
change, you know, and
you know, a different meaning can be derived depending on you know, the reality, of course.
A lot of people don't care. A lot of people don't care. It's this, that's what they want, and I understand that.
The blinders, yeah.
I do. They understand that, and that's the only way they're going to get through it. Some people are the exact opposite, but I've never wanted to be a conspiracy theorist, as Mr. Conspiracy Expert, as you are, and I consider myself a conspiracy realist. Sometimes there are conspiracies, folks. I mean, let's wake it. There is such a thing as a conspiracy. It has been turned into this bad word. It means crazy person. You know, there are conspiracies. They exist. But everything is not a conspiracy theory. So, you know, you got to kind of weed those things out. And that's one of the other things I'm trying to do is let's get rid of the horse crap. If it's not a UFO, let's figure that out and say, all right, that's not a UFO. Now, maybe doing something wrong, something that's less than honorable, but it's not. We relate UFO to what? Extraterrestrials. Yeah, we do. That's not what it really is supposed to mean. Or as the British say, a bloody UFO.
Right, right.
But we know what people think when they say UFO. But
and that's what it seems to be all about, don't you think? It's people think, because there's this experience that we call life, and then there are those who are trying to get through life without making a single ripple in the pond, and then there are the other ones that are constantly cannonballing in the water.
Yes.
And so I would like to tag along with you in your mission here to get rid of the BS, because my experience as a targeted individual. Now, I might as well take a few steps back here. You asked me if I knew about the paralysis ordeal.
Yes.
Yeah, intimately. I have been woken up with shocks, electricity going up and down my spine, not able to move. And it's a terrifying thing being awake but not able to move. It's a sheer terroristic experience. Now, I had got them so much that I actually had to learn a bit of, I guess, mind over body, some metaphysic abilities. I could shake my pinky toe all the way to my big toe, and then I'm shaking my calf, and then I'm out of it in about 5 seconds. But I've heard people targeting visuals say that they go through this for hours and hours on end. Now, these experiences you've had with these UFOs, I've never seen a UFO in my life. What I have extensive experience with are police drones, some that will hover outside of my apartment window. When I say outside of, I'm not saying across the street outside of. I'm saying if I open the window, I could punch it outside of my window. So there are a lot of links and a lot of ties to these things you're talking about, especially with this fibrous device that you found in your ear. People are getting these fibers now because of the chemtrails. And if it has something to do with the government, you know MK Ultra is behind it, mind control. So the whole terrifying experience, the trauma-based mind control, they especially like to do this to children, which is another reason why I want to get this exposed, because they can trigger children that go through these experiences. We need to make sure we are so aware of these psychological operations that we can maintain and not have our children affected by us getting educated. So, it's the way we feel about it.
It's not okay. It's not okay what they do. It's not okay what any of them do. And people say, oh, well, it hasn't happened to you. And, oh, yeah, okay, oh, well. You know, these guys got cases. And I certainly believe you 100%. And with me, what occurred with me, I don't know what it was. I don't know that the government or whoever's associated with the government or contracted with them or whatever that has affected you or others, or even possibly me. I don't know that they're not using technologies that are very similar to what they may have learned from captured equipment, or maybe even a tie or friendship with a non-human entity. I don't know. I got a friend that I made recently that I've been talking to a lot, and he me, what is the law or whatever, the guy that he came up with a deal in the 60s where the basically the amount of transistors in a certain area in a chip would double or whatever exponentially
Was
rising.
that law or something like that?
Which one? Moore's?
Moore's law?
That may be the one.
Or Lorenz? It was either Moore's or Lorenz. I can't think.
It's Moore's. It's Moore's.
Moore's? Okay.
And according to this guy, and we'll try to get him with you at some point, he claims this, the problem with this is it started 20 years before. And he's showing me where it is now. And he says, what's going on is that's what they're using. They're using the technology that they're actually at, and they're keeping us about 20 or so years behind. And we're paying a lot of money for new technology that is really overkill money, and that money is going back over there to what they're doing with the actual true technology. Whatever went on with the landings, whatever's going on with Mars, I just don't believe that we're straight up getting there by the technology we have right now. The technology in the 60s was not that great. We suddenly passed the Soviets. We were 10 to 15 years behind the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. And that wasn't just the Olympics. Olympics, we never caught them. We were way behind these guys.
Yeah.
Suddenly, we passed them and did something, and nobody else has even since we were doing it. Whether we did it or not,
of technologies.
whether we did it or not, something's wrong here. And look at it. I mean, they were using tape, analog machines, and things like that. And this was something performed with precision. Something's wrong here. I say this because people just generally accept stuff. They're just getting to where they accept it. You look at some of these images. In fact, one I put today, regardless of whether this is one of these air cycles that I claim are all over Mars and there's humans on them, I don't know. I don't think these things are anti-gravitational. I think they're used. I think they are. They have turbines, I believe. I don't think they're anti-gravitational. They could be, but there's humans on them.
That's my favorite thing. The favorite thing I have spotted in your videos, like the bubble-headed person on these hover bikes.
Yeah.
I see. That is defensively what it looks like to me. You spotted 2 or 3 of them in one of your videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a bunch more now. Well, that guy had a helmet on. He was up high. He had a helmet on it. And it might have been for air intake also. But they don't need breathing apparatus on the surface, not where they're at, apparently, because they're not wearing it. Some of these people are very clear, and they're not wearing anything like that. So anyway, they're doing these things around. But what I was saying in this video is regardless of whether you see that or not, if you think I'm crazy, okay. But look at this area that it's sitting in. There's a rectangular area. If you want to think these things lining it are rocks, fine. But if they are, here's the thing that you cannot get away from. They're sitting in a rectangle out there, a perfect rectangle. Humans are those that do this stuff. People are looking right past that. I see it over and over. I don't see anything. I don't see anything out there that looks like anything but a rock to me. But all these rocks are sitting in a freaking rectangle. They're lining something out there. Where's our heads, man? What are we looking at?
As Richard C. Hogan would say, geometry, geometry, geometry.
And even bad geometry. These aren't straight perfectly. These are things that you can see were created by humans and laid out. There is a destroyed civilization. I mean, I don't see. You look at this, I got some pretty smart people talking to me about this, and from engineers got reconnaissance guys from the military, and they're all, they're looking at it going, yeah, this is definitely a graveyard of this is artifacts, man, and there's tools and stuff, and they're at least as advanced as we are. It's not a bronze civilization, and they're seeing where the water was. Of course, there's water. The water is a whole nother subject. This is ridiculous. On the water, it's in hundreds of images, but they're just now, hey everybody, we got water underground. They just announced, we think there's water around. We think this is lip service, and you know it. That I'm going to really have to start showing this water that was present in images for years before they said there was a drop of water up there. Anyway, you look at these images, it's like, oh man, this is a destroyed civilization. What happened? What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. Xenon 129 isotope, nuclear.
That's radioactive. They're trying to say, I know a few people like Mike Barra was speaking about that and how that's a nuclear element. But have you looked into the idea of this? There's supposedly this planet that's supposed to be swinging through our solar system. Oh, this civilization over here talks about this planet. That civilization over here talks about this planet. There's always somebody talking about this planet that's supposed to be swinging through, but it never does. I'm thinking maybe it already did, and it collided with this planet because Mars was a moon. I don't know. What do you think?
You're talking about the Nibiru Planet X? That's the one. Nikolai Sitchin, from what I understand, he's pretty close. He came up with some names on his own. Anunnaki. He invented this name. Let's remember that. And we use it now, but apparently it was a race. He's come up with this Nibiru, Planet X, they call it. I'm told by people that this is real, but that there's no danger of it anytime soon. And supposedly this is not Mars either. Of course, it wasn't struck by it. If it even came by, it would just have to come close enough to cause problems, gravitational problems or whatever. If you believe in gravity, whatever, it's going to cause problems if it comes close. We know that. It really looks like in these images that there's crater impacts. Looks like things hit. Looks like things flew. Looks like water ran. I don't think it was just a deluge, because it looks like walked through at some point and swept things to the side. But a lot of these things look like water vehicles. You know what? I see such unusual things, and I know I don't want to make up things in my head for what I see, but I'm not so sure some of this area wasn't like a Disneyland. I'm serious, because there's these huge there's statues, pieces of heads. This is a very decorative area. And keep in mind, Curiosity is just traveled, what, 12 miles, what, 18 kilometers, I think. Is that 12 miles-ish? Something like that. That's not that far. That's not that far. And it's following a river. There's no doubt about it. It's following a river. I don't care what they say. Lip service. You know, I've had people come up to me and say, do you really think you're smarter than the NASA scientists? Don't you think they would have had that figured out by now? People really tell me that. I'm like, man, you're just not going to get it, And I explain it to them, and they still don't get it. Well, what do you do?
I have the same people who think that say, well, at least I've had one or two. Like, really, you think you're going to figure out all the NSA's technology? You really just, yeah. Well, they've been harassing me for years to come back and work for the Army because I'm a genius. That's primary reason why I'm targeting visual. Yeah, I'm figuring all this stuff out left and right, no problem. But it doesn't take a genius for a lot of things. It just takes a second look and discerning and not taking anyone's word for anything and doing the science yourself. So
one of the first things that people do when they look at a picture, like I will present, is they've already got in their head, well, this can't be anything. It's not going to be. And it doesn't matter how good it is. They are pretty good about what they released. What's the word? Obfuscation or whatever you call it. I can never say that word, you know, making something less than clear, making something.
Yeah, you got it.
It's one of those OBFUSK words that we really even shouldn't use. You know, I'm scared a cuss word's going to come out if I try to say it.
They really like to blur things out, obfuscate.
Obfuscate these things.
Yeah.
They sometimes do a really good job. We've got a two-dimensional picture, right? We look at it and we're going, red rocks. That's all we're seeing. You know, sometimes they will leave just a shiny piece of something. Some of these pictures, you'll see all these boulders and rocks, and yeah, that's what they look like. Not a single one of them is a rock. I'm telling you. They have a rock and sand tool. I'm told that they actually use Photoshop, registered trademark, whatever, but have custom tools. And you're just not going to really beat Photoshop. And I don't know if they're contracting this out or what, but they just paint right over some of this stuff, skew it. Some things they really have to hide. They usually hide the humans. I've found some because nobody's going to believe it anyway. They may not even have seen it. Let's face it, they go through thousands and thousands of these images. And it's got to be a terrible job. I mean, they're seeing this stuff truly raw. Going,
right.
Oh, I can never say anything about this ever, or I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but it's got to be a terrible.
Well, let me tell you, the filter just really irritates me. The super orange filter, or the moon pictures, the super white filter. The moon is more brown, more different clayish than it is white or silver.
Some of those moon pictures, they digitized them a few years back. Through a bunch of them. That's why there's a spacecraft up there in one of the more famous shots that they took when they were going around to the far side. And what happened? Well, it was 20,000 of these images that they put up there a few years back. And they've been sitting around forever. Nobody's been looking at them. They're only the ones that were released. Think about this in the 70s. They released these images. You see some grainy ones that they might put in an almanac. Maybe a grainy one came out in the newspaper or a Time magazine. That's all anybody saw. Well, they took pictures of them, digitized them, and put them on their website. And I'm going through it. I'm saying they did not crop out. A lot of times they'll crop out the space around the moon. Well, they did, but they didn't crop real tight on some of them. And I'm like, there's something there. Because what they did was a lot of these, they just basically took pictures of them. And what one guy told me, and this was second hand, because he learned from a woman who actually worked for them. He said what they were doing at one time was they laid the pictures down, they put a film over it, transparent. They drew whatever, masked on the film, white out, whatever you want to call it, and then rephotographed it. That's how they would mask things out that they were going to present to the public. But some of these didn't really get masked out. I guess they just got put out, and they didn't mask over to the side in space. And I looked at a picture right away, and I said, there's something there. So, well, maybe that's a smudge. I don't know. But I went down on it and changed the brightness and contrast. And, man, there's a space station there. It was there. It's 1972. I mean, it's clear as day. That is not a smudge. It almost looks like something from 2000 and whatever Space Odyssey it is now. It's
2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes. That now that we passed that day.
There are...
It can't still be 2001. We didn't have anything like that then. Yes, we did. Or is it ours?
See, that's the thing. There are human-like structures, but at the same time, yes, the moon has 6% of the Earth's gravity, which means you can create monumental buildings there. But as far as the moon is concerned, I believe that with the secrecy the government is trying to have about the moon, I don't think they'll be building anything so monumental on the surface. I think they would try to do what they. But then again, actually, let me go around to that point. But what's there to be built so largely, such huge structures? It would have had to have been done still by an advanced race. Had no scrutiny about who can see them. But then again, the surface of the moon, which I am hearing, is composed of mostly titanium element, which tells you right there, the moon, well, this might be a vehicle, a space vehicle. Nothing dissimilar from Death Star.
I believe that it is 100% artificial. I have my reasons to believe this. I do. I believe it is artificial. I believe every moon of Saturn is artificial. Every one of them.
Now, have you read about the ring makers?
Oh, yes.
Now, that blows me away more than anything. Little seemingly like crafts that are as long as the Earth, just going around making new rings.
In the video that I presented, in fact, I think it's got about 6 million views now. It's a little over a year old. They're here. Giant spacecraft in our solar system. That's where I show this, that there's vehicles around the moon. And then I'm showing what's going on in the rings of Saturn. And one of the things that I noticed was NASA, when they describe this stuff, and that's, I'm sure, who's given the Wikipedia information, when they talk about these rings, they talk about these other objects going around these moons as basically having functions of keeping things in order. Now, how can they have a function if something's not alive? How can it be? It says so-and-so is responsible for keeping the Keller gap aligned or whatever. How is that possible? How can that be its function? It's by accident. If that's its function, if that's its responsibility, somebody put it there, or it thinks for itself. They throw things in like that every now and then. I really think they do, probably to bother people like me. But those things are what is there, 60-something moons, they say now, going around it. And in that, I broke through several of those. And some people got on to me about it, a few, but I don't care, because all I did was use extreme, I used an extreme filter on it that gets a lot of contrast. I try not to change the image too much. I know things happen when you do this. It's digital. But that's one of the beautiful things about digital imagery is a lot of times you can bring forth things that are going on underneath because, you know, everything is saved as a color frequency as opposed to analog film where it's just all meshed together. And I show on several, it's absolutely, they're spacecraft. You can see that they have kind of Photoshop dusted them to make them look rockish. They didn't cover them real hard. It's just kind of a light dusting. And one of them is about 50 miles long. Is it Prometheus? That thing's terrifying. It looks like it's got heads and stuff on the front of it. What are these things doing? And the ring makers, are they making the rings or are they mining them? And who is it?
It's sort of like having combs, and they're almost straightening them out, make them look nice and pretty.
Well, do the rings have a function? We don't know what's going on with those rings. And I know we know that, like, I know at least, I think Neptune and Uranus both have rings now. They've discovered.
Yes, have been discovered to have rings.
Something's going on with these rings that they're not telling us, or they haven't figured it out, or don't want us to know. But I think they're, you know, now this is a guess. This isn't even a swag right here. I think it's a communication issue. I think it's a communication issue. Let's not forget quartz crystal.
Yes. Yes.
There were hippies 50 years ago, 60 years ago that said there's something to these things. There's something to these things we can tell. Guess what? That's why we're able to do this right here.
Crystals. Yes.
Silicon dioxide.
Even diamonds are used in quantum computing. Wow. Yeah. Well, you want to see what I see when I look at it? There has been this thing about this hexagram that's at the North Pole of Saturn. I thought to myself,
it's the size of the Earth 4 times.
Yes.
Yes.
I have literally thought to myself, well, that can't be natural in nature unless there is a frequency coming out of it or into it, like an ice crystal sort of scenario. You put sound through sand, and on a blanket, it comes up as a certain pattern, like over a speaker or something. It makes a certain pattern. So that came to mind immediately. Now, I immediately reeled back in my head because of all the occult stuff I had been studying a lot of my life. And, you know, ring of Saturn, it's just symbolic through everywhere in our lives. I can't even go through it all. But Chronos, time, the death, it's the second sun. There's just so many occult meanings. A lot of it, you know, like Saturnalia. I'm pretty sure if someone wants to get into it, Jordan Maxwell used to talk about Saturnalia, how this cult, who I call the Illuminards, they're really Saturnalians. And this frequency keeps the reptilians dominant in our solar system. Now, I don't know if that's literally speaking, we've got shapeshifters around here or not, but I know it can mean that figuratively speaking. So we all have reptilian brains, the lower brain. So when we're in a state of fear and war, you know, that's the condition of mankind right now. Unless we're using our higher brains.
Talk to you about that when we're not on the air. But go ahead.
No, what are you gonna say?
Reptilian brain. Look, this thing. Look at the craters that are shaped like hexagons. Look at several of the supposed moons of Saturn, like Iapetus. It's got this huge hexagon-shaped crater. Several of them do. You've got them all over the moon. They're either just, there's so many of them that are just so round or six-sided. Mercury has six-sided craters on it. What's that dwarf star? There's so many going on now. They're all over the solar system. We don't have any that I know of, unless it's
on Earth. No,
out by man. I don't think any of these are. I don't think they're impact craters.
No,
I really don't.
No, it could just be the rebels. You know,
the Rebel Alliance.
Star Wars reference. Yes.
The Rebel Alliance.
Well, we already talked about the moon being a Death Star, and then here we have these hexagonal, six-sided structures, and a lot of these structures have something.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
My favorite line from the whole deal.
And I have so many theories, and the thing is, I have gone through a lot of these pictures and a lot of these things that other people show. Oh, you know, they'll put up a picture, you know, circle two things. Like, wait a minute, what about the other 8 things? And it's like, wait, no, don't switch to the next picture. No. It's like, let's go over this.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't interact with the YouTube video, but it's like this. There's some justice that needs to be done to this.
Yes.
You can't pass over this. You can't pass over it. I'm looking at Mike Burrow pictures, and he's just picked out only half the stuff that's in the picture. It's like, wow. I think I've got a niche for this. I got to jump in this. Let's do this. So I'm excited like a chihuahua that's about to go on a walk here. I would really like to add a little bit more depth because, yeah, people have done their YouTube videos and get thousands, even million plus views on these things. But what we have together, I think, for the show that we're going to do would be monumental.
I'm not a tricky. I'm not one of these guys that worries about the combination that Jim Kirk used to get into something. No. There were guys that weird. Did you know that?
Actually, I want to get to the weird guys. I want to get to the weird guys.
Huh? Oh, I'm weird in other ways.
The other day, who's this weirdo that was stalking us? And I think I have to explain to you. There's just some guy who claims he was a celebrity, was not. This used to be a jeweler that had, whatever. I don't know his backstory, but he's like some homeless bum now, trying to live on his glory days, and trying to use him knowing celebrities as a celebrity status to jump into another group of bums to have them worship him as king. It was just such a funny premise of that story. But I then asked you, have you come across anything like this? I mean, you're more of a celebrity than I am.
Whatever. Whatever. Yes, I run across it. I get weird. Most of the emails and stuff that I get are really good. Now people love to come in and talk crap under videos. They love to do that. Some of them just do it just because. Some people are actors, But I don't call people fans. I don't call them subscribers. I call them, people who have subscribed to my channel. They're me. They're not my subscribers. They're not my fans. They're people, and the majority of them are really cool. I've talked to a bunch of them, at least by, email and whatnot, and I get a lot of really cool people. Some really good contacts have come into play. But every now and then I get a weirdo. I had a guy trying to tell me I've got pictures that is going to prove everything you ever wanted. Just tell me where you're at, and I will come to you. Yeah, I did that real quick.
Yeah,
I let this go. I kept telling the guy, just show me what you got. Just show me what you got. I him back. And then he got on my he got on Facebook. He sent me friend requests. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do this. Finally, he said, I'll show you. He sent me a video, and this guy, he's sitting here like this, and he says, the real Jimmy Roberts, I'm going to show you this. And he takes the camera and he turns it real quick towards the screen, and it was sideways and back. And then he starts talking again under here, and I couldn't deal with it. I turned it off. 2 days later, I had 15 messages from him. He was saying he was reporting me to Facebook, letting everybody know, I guess on his page, what I was all about, because I was stealing his idea. He had proof that he sent this to me. And I'm like, I responded one time. I said, man, look, I couldn't even see that. I don't know what that was. You want me to tell people that you have a computer monitor that's sideways? That's all I saw. And, there was something wrong with his teeth, too. It was really, this guy did not look right. The guy's like, the first thing he said was, I will come to you. I will fly to you. Yeah. That bothers me just a little bit. But, that doesn't happen to me a whole lot.
At least he didn't threaten to stab you. I guess, or it gets slap you.
I saw it.
Well, yeah. So it takes all types.
I'm on your team, man.
But
go anywhere, I'm with you.
well, it's gonna take some crazed nut job. You know, I think I'm gonna go out like John Lennon, because these people know not to be within 100 square miles of me anywhere I go.
Man, that's really weird.
But
I just thought that when you said it's got to be, they got these nut jobs. That guy that Reagan, the guy Reagan, and the guy that killed John Lennon. God, what is his name? He came to mind just before you said John Lennon. That's really weird. Now we may have that connection going. That happens with me and people. What was his name? Just to be.
Was it John? No, Chaplin or something. Chapman.
Chapman.
Yeah.
Tracy Chapman. No, wait a minute. Not Tracy Chapman. She drove a fast car. No, it was Chapman. Rod. Anyway, yeah, that was it. But that was weird. But anyway, yeah. Hopefully I won't get too many more of those, but I know it'll happen. That's okay. I just try to be nice. I'm not out trying to make people believe something that's not true. I try not to speculate too much. I usually tell people when I'm speculating. So, that may not be, this may not be what I think it might be, but that does not take us away from the fact that this is a graveyard of artifacts and ruins from a destroyed civilization. And somebody is there digging stuff up. Somebody's there looking at it and aren't telling us the truth. That part can't
so much covered up. So much covered up. They want to even make up terms they can't validate. They can't verify pareidolia when it doesn't exist. Okay, I followed the research on Mike Barra, and yeah, it was used in an article. The terminology was used in an article in some magazine, and then boom, it became mainstream. There are no studies in a hospital or a university studying anything like pareidolia.
Oh, they claim there has been.
I'm sorry?
They claim there has been, and you know what? But that doesn't mean there has. They claim a lot of things. I do understand that we see things. We jump to conclusions sometimes, quite often in two-dimensional images. But guess what? A good majority of these images I look at in 3D. I got a guy that's become a good friend, David Gannett, that his dad basically developed what turned into the Viewmaster. And this guy has gone on a lot of digs and stuff around the world. He's got his hands dirty. He looks at these pictures, man, oh, definitely. This is a civilization on Mars. But he taught me how to look for the matching sets of these things, stereoscopic views. If you look at the images from these rovers, NASA, whoever, they select a few images that they portray. This is our stereoscopic images for you to look at Mars in 3D. They're the blue and red anaglyph glasses that nobody has. I've got some. Where are they at? Where are they at here? Here they are. What's this? Well, I can see everything in 3D. Check it out, man. Okay. Oh, wow, you look really... You know what this does to your hair? We got to talk about that. That was really weird. You got to understand, because I got red. There's this red and green coming through here. That was weird, man. Anyway, nobody has those hardly. I had to go buy one of those 3D notepads to get those again. That's what they put. Guess what? Your mast cam images. There is a left and right mast cam. There's a left and right has cam. There's a left and right nav cam. They take not simultaneous images, but one right after the other, seconds apart. And the mast cam lenses are right next to each other. They're perfect for this. You have to hunt for it. They don't put them at, they didn't place it on their site. Oh, here's the left, here's the right. They don't even really tell you that. So what I do is I'll take right image. Most of them that you see that are just like a 4x3 image, those are the right mast cams. Left mast cam is supposed to have better definition slightly, but it's made for the wide angle. So here's what it does most of the time. It's sitting there, the Curiosity's on Mars, it looks up at a mountainside or a big hill. It will take a wide angle left mast cam image with really good resolution right here. The right mast cam is actually zoomed in tighter and with good resolution, and that's what you get. You'll find the left one, which actually is going to have the right image in it plus the rest of it because it's a wide angle. So you have to find that, match it up. Now, when you zoom into that left mast cam image, because it always pixelates really bad. So you can't really get a real good uptight 3D stereoscopic view, but it's better than nothing. It works. And what does this do? This helps me looking out there, and I'm saying, and this is something I talked about on the video that I put out today. How far away is that stuff over there? I can't really tell. It looks like it's kind of close. And this line of rocks right here, what that is, there's a drop-off right there. And all this stuff that we're seeing past it is actually on down quite a ways. You can't see that in 2D. You have to rely on things like shading and whatnot, you know, to try to get 3 dimensions out of it. When I put these images together, I can actually view them without a viewer. This guy taught me this. It's called 3DX cross viewing. I can put them both up on my screen. I know I look crazy when I do it because I have to cross my eyes a certain way, but it brings them together. And when you focus them together, it's crystal clear. It's in 3 dimensions. And you can see, oh, this is here, this is here. Oh, this thing is a duck. It isn't a duck after all. It's something sticking out of the ground that belongs to something, but it's not a duck.
Well, I do know with the technology that we have, you can get the same video footage or picture footage, make one opaque and do a different hue, make another one opaque, try another hue, and then stack them on top of each other. I've actually tried doing that. I think I come across a little bit of something myself as far as looking at this stuff.
Are you talking about just one image?
Yes.
And creating kind of a virtual like 3D?
Well, backgrounds. Basically, you can have a background that I basically try to take as much contrast off as possible.
All right. Okay.
So a palette, and just duplicate it and just have them opaque, meaning they're you can see through them.
Yes.
See through this layer, this layer, this layer, and stack them all on top of each other, and it does give a different view.
Yes.
Is this what you're talking about?
No. What I'm talking about is I'm taking 2 views, the left view and the right view, because it's a wide angle, and I'm placing them side by side.
Hmm?
You know, just like in a ViewMaster or just like in the virtual reality viewers, with the exception of moving it around, you've got 3D because it separates left and right. I'd have 2 channels. We can't use things like real 3D that they use in the movie theater because what you've got going on is they've shot things with basically lines in it going different directions that the glasses filter, but they also have, it's going back and forth frame after frame, this way, this way, this way, this way, and then they have something that's attached to the projector that's going back and forth like this, and that's why you're able to see 3D in the theater. Well, we can't do that. But what I can do is I can create these to put in a viewer, like with your cell phone, like with virtual reality. You put it on your one of these 3D viewers, these virtual reality viewers, and you can see three dimensions, even if it's just static, which these will be for the most part. It's 3D. Well, I can do that without the viewer. I just put them on opposite sides and cross my eyes and tune it in, focus it in the middle, and this guy David Gannett taught me this. The one in the middle will be in perfect 3D. And so I can.
Is this something that we should be talking about right now? Do you want to get this patented first?
No, it's nothing new. It's nothing new now. I mean, look, hey, go out there and look on YouTube and look for side-by-side 3D. And you'll see it. There it is, side by side. You'll see it video, but you'll see two videos going on side by side. They're slightly different perspectives. It's left eye, right eye. And what's going on there is you slip that in your phone, and you slip your phone in one of those, and it's separating the left and right channel, your eyesight, and you're seeing these two in 3D. The only difference here is that side by side that you would use like that with your phone inside the viewer, you would need to exchange the left and the right this way, and then cross your eyes, and you can see it in 3D without a viewer. Most people don't want to learn to do that. I understand that. So we're going to create them to go in the virtual ViewMaster things, which a bunch of people have. I mean, they're buying them to play games and look at porn. Let's face it, that they are. I mean, that's what a lot of it is, a side by side. You know, I'm not hating. I'm just saying a lot of people have them. So,
a part of my soul is pixelated when you said that. What was that? I said part of my soul's pixelated when you said that. You know, I mean that. You know, sun's stuff on.
I'm just being real. I know.
What I want today, triple fisting. Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And to see that in 3D is a whole different experience, I'm told.
Okay. Well, I think we should about wrap up the show. Is there anything else?
Especially now. Now, what?
Well, I really,
he loves me anyway.
I really finally glad to have you on the show. I know we're supposed to have done some things, and I would really like to pick apart some of your videos that you've already done. I would love if you can just paste me in there, and then we just go through what you went through, and I'll talk about what I think you missed, and you can say, hey, no, that's not what that is, or vice versa.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've thought about that. That'd be a good idea.
I really want to get a sense, too, I guess a bit of practice as far as...
Other guys. Let me tell you what a guy asked me one time. Now, does this make sense? This guy that's really into this stuff, he's really good. He's done a lot of archaeology work himself. And I saw something in an image. I thought, sure, this was a machine. And he came back to me and says, he just couldn't see that. He could not see it. And then he wrote me back and said, I hope I didn't make you mad. No. I said, let me ask you one question. Do you believe, that's just me to this guy, do you believe in your professional opinion from years and years of working in the dirt, looking at archaeological digs, looking at digital imagery and others, saying, do you believe that there is a destroyed civilization, at the least, on Mars, and that it's visible in these images? And his answer was, oh, yes, absolutely. I said, enough said. That's my whole point. That's the only thing I'm trying to get across to people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to bridge that gap. We've got to start understanding what's really going on. We have no cumulative consciousness on this planet at all. We are divided up in so many ways, and will continue. The more people that come, the more we divide ourselves up, whether it's racial or whether it's political. Oh my gosh! I mean, we have a tendency to do this. We football teams over here, high school football teams. We come out with banners, bands, and everything, and they go out and I love football, and it's a war that goes on out there. It's our side, and it's you guys from across the tracks over there, or you know what I'm saying. People do that, but it's late in the game. It's late in the game. We're filling this planet up.
It is so late in the game, and we need to start calling people out on this. I'm not going to name a new TV show. Only we know the name of the new TV show, but we are going to want staff for the show. Something I have done since the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. I pretty much do that myself. Anthony does the online stuff. I do the Red Pill Hardcore myself. But Family Case Files, I have a staff. Targeted, I have a staff. We've got a new Cooking with Cannabis TV show coming up on staff. Yeah. Man. It's getting live. I hope that we can go ahead and put the show together. I hope it's going to be something going to be very different. Well, it's got to be different.
Yes.
It's got to bring more information. It's got to bring a whole new dynamic. You know, anybody can do what Secure Team 10 does, or Mars Anomalies, or...
Hey, guys, what's up? This is Tyler, Secure Team. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he does what he does. He brings a lot of stories out there, but I've just heard that so many times. Hey, guys.
And, well, let's just say, for those people that paved the road for us, thank you. We're going to be laying down the asphalt. And before we actually stop, I want to know more about your experience with other media. You've been on Coast to Coast, have you not? You've been on Dr. Phil. You've been places, right?
How'd you know that? How'd you know that? Yes, I have been on there, and I was on not Coast to Coast, but I was on what they call it now, Midnight in the Desert. What's the guy's name that's running it now? I was on
George
that.
Norrie?
What?
Is George Norrie? Or
no.
a new guy?
No. So, I always forget his name. He's doing a good job, though. Yeah, they had me on there. I had to stay up till 2 in the morning to do that. But that was fine. It was good. It's hard talking about something specific when you can't show. So I just kind of, did the best I could. Yeah. That's not why I was on Dr. Phil. That's another story. We'll get to that on one of the shows. It's a recurring. Let me tell you something.
Related to,
Let me tell you something. My wife, I'm at work. We've been together 7 years. We've only been married a couple. She's at home a few years ago, and it's playing on the Oprah network. That's how she finds out. She's sitting home by herself and watch TV, and it's had to do with my dating habits back in the day. So, and here I pop up on. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I've got nieces and stuff that were little babies then that don't know anything about it. They're up at night when they shouldn't be, and I pop up on TV. So anyway, I'm a good boy now. I just trying to get this Mars thing straightened out.
All right. Just get this Mars thing straightened out. You have more of a passion for Mars. I think I have more of a passion for the moon for some reason.
I've got a pretty good one for the moon, too. Mars is popular. People, I guess it trends a lot. People are interested in Mars, and they urge me, do more Mars, do more Mars. But no, hey, the moon's there.
It defies all logic of, well, we got there in the late 60s, early 70s, so can't we just continue doing that before trying to shoot off to Mars? It seems like a big distraction. Like, yeah, okay.
Not only that, Nikola Tesla tried to tell him in the early 1900s.
Well, it's very clear.
It was not rotating on its axis We'll talk about that on the show. But
well, it's very clear that the government does not want us on the moon. Okay, it's very clear. It's closer to us than Mars. With all the multi-billion-dollar crap.
Its own light.
What'd you say?
That's not a reflection. That's not a reflection in the dirt. Please. And you know what? I bet it's not the same temperature either. If you check it, because I'm just saying there's something else going on. I think it's a reaction.
The anomalies, I'm going to have fun picking apart with you because I have a theory about the moon wave that we'll get into on a later episode. Okay. Well, my thing is telescopes, okay? There are powerful enough telescopes to see the surface of the moon. We should be using these telescopes to see, because they're very powerful telescopes. I know they haven't got all of these telescopes under wraps with these huge buildings. I mean, they've got the satellite dishes surrounding these things, and they have the observatories, and it's just, are you going to tell me that no one can come through on a field trip with children and, you know, hook him up? Hey, look at the freaking moon. You would think that would be not only just the craziest field trip ever, but mandatory. Like, hey, come look at the freaking moon. You know, you go through astronomy and all these difficult classes, but you can't get to a telescope and actually see what's on the moon. Now, people are saying, "Whoa, why can't they? Why can't they?" Well, it's called government clearance. A lot of these astronomers are under secret oaths to not say anything about anything they see. They're under contract. And so that's why these things still exist. Now, why is that? I mean, the answer is obvious. But
to you, maybe. Well, I figure there's something there we're not supposed to see. What's the biggest telescope that you have access to?
Me personally, not a very big one, but I do know there are some really large ones out there, and amateur astronomers are making some hell of a pictures. More detailed.
I got a 14-incher. Who can say that? Right, come on.
Wait, say it again?
I got a friend with a 14-incher.
14 inches. That can see that clearly?
It's a 14-inch telescope.
Now, I've seen some of these cameras lately that you take a picture and it's supposed to take the 3D imagery. I believe we were talking about this earlier, but is any of this going to incorporate into the other parts of this? I mean, if we have a camera that can zoom so far, but also is wide-angled enough to take in the light from the other surroundings to get a composite shot.
Yeah, well,
that comes into the camera.
You're going to get a 3D image of the moon surface from here. Yeah, that's going to be hard. You've got to have your sources got to be quite a distance from each other to be able to get, you know, because this right here, what they say is 238,000 miles is not going to get you a perspective you need, if that's what you're talking about. So, yeah, they're going to have to be way spread out like this, miles and miles and miles. And then you've got, well, anyway, I don't know. Then that's another story. There's too many things I could go into.
Too many things. I mean, we can stop whenever you want.
Yeah, we better stop, because I'm gonna go get something to eat, think about what all I've said, which isn't much, but
All right. Well, I guess we'll end this right here. Well, yes, this has been Jimmy Creek right here, Jimmy Roberts.
I'm trying to hold back and save for the show because I really mean some of this stuff, man.
I try to make you all hardcore mafioso, Jimmy the Creek, but we got Jimmy Roberts here, and please check out his channel. I'm going to link his channel below. Probably even place a card. I'm not sure if I can get channel to channel, but I'll at least put your link and get everyone figured out who you are. And hey, for all of your viewers, please check me out.
Now we'll be letting them know who you are. We're getting up. We're at 80. We're at 86,000 subscribers. So
I have hardly no subscribers because we just started this brand new.
Well, yeah, I'll help send some your way.
Truthtainment TV Network. It's not that we're amateurs here. I'm just branching off of our main TV network, which is TLB TV.
Right. And we'll just ask me on as a guest speaker on your show here and there, and you'll look at all the advertisement over from my folks you're going to get. Which you're going to get it in.
We're still trying to figure out this advertising stuff. It all sounds good to me.
Me too.
Well, all right. I'll let you get to it. Thank you for being on the show.